So let's talk about this a little bit. So
Yeah.
Gremlins is directed by Joe Dante. It is a horror, sort of slapstick, dark comedy monster movie set at Christmas time. And it was released in June of 1984, several weeks after Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And what happened was there was no PG-13 rating before those two
Yeah.
movies. And they single-handedly are responsible for the existence of that rating because they were two movies that seemed, on the surface at least, would be safe for children. You got Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the sequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is a little intense, but a lot of it is very exciting, very 1930s serial adventure. The sequels got like freaking hearts being ripped out of chests and guys eaten by alligators and much gorier effects. There's a room full of like bugs and they're almost killed by spikes. It is actually, it has the potential to be a very traumatizing movie. And so
that one was traumatizing to me also. Oh,
yeah,
those
the heart especially is
those
what
two
really
films.
gets it. And then you have Gremlins, which have you seen the trailer for Gremlins?
I have not. No, I haven't.
Okay. I was very curious. Because I was like, I wonder if the trailer paints it as like this holiday family movie, and it kind of does.
Oh, I can see
You get a couple of solitary shots of the Mogwai and then the Gremlins that they morph into afterwards, but it's never full on, and you do not see the haywire levels of violence that occur in the last second half of this movie, I would say. And so I can only imagine how many parents were like, they're the kids who are traumatized from seeing Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It's like, oh, hey, we'll take you to see Gremlins. It'll be a nice way to heal from the wounds that this movie has inflicted upon you. And then they go, and for a while, it's fine. It's really tame.
Gremlins is a cute name. That's a cute name for a movie.
Out of nowhere, a head explodes on camera in a microwave, and like a gun is pulled on Phoebe Cates, and there's like, Zach Galligan's mom fending off Gremlins with a knife that she has for some reason while making gingerbread cookies. It gets really, really intense really fast, and the Gremlins are just these horrifying, scaly, reptilian beasts of nature of the kind that
they're like scary minions.
They really are.
I found them to be this time, in a good way though.
I would pay exorbitant amounts of money to be able to hear or perhaps read the complaints made by frustrated parents.
Well, I know that there's a moment in Gremlins 2 where there's a movie theater sequence where this girl is brought out of the movie by a upset mom, and that was based on real reactions from Gremlins 1 of kids being ripped out of the theater, even though the kids wanted to stay and loved it. The families just couldn't stand it.
We're going to talk about that. Yeah. We're going to talk about that scene a little bit later. But let's focus a little bit on Gremlins 1 first of all. So the plot of Gremlins 1 is that we have this guy who is a self-proclaimed inventor who is not really taken off, but has all these weird gadgets that are clearly meant to be viewed as sort of like a TV movie level of cute. Like this is something you'd see in a Hallmark movie where it's like, oh, check it out. It's this little box that has everything you could possibly need when going on a vacation. It's got like a fold out toothbrush and a razor and a shaving cream spritzer. And it is a ridiculous invention. There's a reason that it has never been invented.
Yeah. And the movie just begins with him walking down like steamy streets in a fedora, like with narration. So it's like, is this a noir movie? Like it's a very odd way to start the movie.
It really is. Yeah. And winds up in this like basement sort of knick-knack shop.
Yeah.
Run by a guy named Mr. Wing, I believe is his name.
Yeah.
Who lives with his grandson and says, we've got this thing. I'm looking for a present for my son. That's what he says. And then it's like, well, what's in this cage that's rattling around? And then Mr. Wing's like, do not touch that. That is off limits. Absolutely not. And the grandson, in his finite wisdom, I would say, says, here, take it and sneak out the back.
Yeah, I'll sell it to you later. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
I almost wonder if this grandson has like some sort of a morbid sense of humor and is like, let's just see what happens. Why not?
When I was watching it this time, I was like, oh, he just wants money. That's all I thought it was. Just the way he looks. He's just like, yeah, we just need money. So
yeah, maybe he does not fully comprehend the consequences of selling this cage. And so the inventor guy gets home, and we find out that his son, played by Zach Galligan, who works at a bank, which really weirded me out because it's been a while since I've seen this movie. I forgot that was a plot point. And we see all these 80s movies like Ferris Bueller, for instance, where you've got Matthew Broderick, who was like, 26, 27 at the time, playing a high school student. We see Zach Galligan in this opening scene, like trying to fix his car. I thought he was going to like go to a school.
And
be a school teacher.
And I've seen this movie so many times, and I still think that every time. It feels like a John Hughes movie where it's like, oh, I'm going to go to school. Like, oh, what, a gremlin? At school? And
then goes to like an actual adult job.
Yeah, puts on a tie. Yeah, he's a teller.
It's such a strange thing. I don't know if anyone else has this experience, but it was just so weird to me to see that, and I could never fully buy into it. And we see that he works at the bank, and I love this movie directly references It's a Wonderful Life, and that is clearly what it's playing off of. Where Jimmy Stewart in that movie also works at a bank. And then we see the equivalent of Mr. Potter. What's her name? Mrs. Deagle? Is that what it is?
Mrs. Deagle, yeah.
Yeah. Walks down the street, has her own theme song that is just a downright evil theme song. And it actually, I burst it out.
Very similar to Wizard of Oz, too. Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. It's kind of like the Wicked Witch. And yeah, so it's really planting this idea in your head early on of like sort of an old school Americana, a little melodramatic, a little bit chintzy, but also very sincere kind of drama.
Yeah.
And it commits to this for a while. And I think that's part of the magic of the movie, because we see he gets home one night and gets the present.
He gets the present. Yeah, it's wrapped up. You know, he hears a sound inside of it, decides to shake it immediately for some reason.
Yep.
And then he shakes it, and then he's like, "It's a puppy, isn't it?" And I'm like, dude, you just shook that. Like,
you just shook a puppy.
But no, it's Howie Mandel.
It's Howie Mandel. With this, doing the voice of this little puppet, this little animatronic puppet. I want to say this right off the bat. The effects in both of these movies are phenomenal.
Really good. Really good in the second one. Oh my God.
Like, there's no seams whatsoever. It's all puppetry. It's all practical.
Yeah.
It's all animatronics. Even they used some miniatures at times.
Yeah, I read something about Zach Galligan, like just being blown away first time seeing it, and like all the dog reactions to it are genuine. Because it looks so real, and it still does.
They're so convincing, and they give and it really helps to be able to buy these as actual creatures. There's a scene in Gremlins 2 where Zach Galligan accidentally closes a drawer on Gizmo's hand, and I screamed out in terror.
Yeah.
I was like, no!
I did the same thing this morning. Yeah. Oh man. It's like
they're fantastic effects.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And not just the puppets either, all the other stuff that happens later in the movie.
Yeah, and they can do like facial, what's the word I'm looking? Emotions? I can't think of the right word I'm looking for, but
they can really allow the Mogwai and the Gremlins alike to emote.
Yeah, be angry, mad, whatever. Angry, mad. That's two of the same thing. Angry, sad, whatever. Yeah.
Angry, enraged, frustrated.
Upset.
All the emotions.
Not liking anything. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, so he gets the gremlin and finds out and I love that they do not acknowledge whatsoever that this is unlike any other species. They're just totally willing to buy into it. Like, oh, it's like a cute little thing that there's only one of and has this bizarre series of rules, which are as follows.
Yeah, go on.
Do not allow them to be exposed to bright lights. That is their weakness. That is their kryptonite, so to speak.
Yep.
Do not allow them to come in contact with water, which raises a variety of questions, none of which have been answered.
Yeah.
That we'll get into in a second. And finally, most important of all, do not feed them after midnight.
Yeah.
When is it okay to feed them again? What is
problematic? When's the cutoff?
Yeah. And I think the way that I've read it, the way that I understand it at least, is that Joe Dante sort of knew about that and just doesn't care. He's actually sort of notoriously refused to give an answer about that. Like he'll always dodge the question.
I like it when people do that. They're like, yeah, that's stupid, but I don't care.
They really commit to it. Both these movies, the second one especially, really understands exactly what they are. And if you're there for it, you're there. And if you're not, that's fine.
I get it. Yeah.
We'll do it.
Yeah. I'll allow it. Yeah.
And so I really like that. The thing with the water, though, that one is weirder to me because it actually sort of contradicts itself in the second one because, okay, so don't splash them with water. That's obvious.
Yeah.
How do they drink? What if they don't get all of it into their mouth or whatever? Furthermore, is it only water that duplicates them?
If you spit on them, it would do anything?
And if so, would it make a different kind of gremlin? What does a Gatorade gremlin?
Yeah, dude, I was about to say Gatorade.
Like, what does a Mountain Dew Mogwai look like?
Yeah.
That's the name of my pug band.
Mountain Dew
Mogwai.
It's genuinely good, actually.
It really is, yeah. But then we find out maybe it is just water because there's a scene in Gremlins 2 where there's a vial of acid that says, warning, do not throw in face.
Yeah.
And it gets thrown in the face of the gremlin and nothing happens. So I assume it's just water then.
Yeah, strict water.
Mm-hmm. That must be the rule that they established in that scene.
Yep.
But yeah, what happens is that, sure enough, all of these rules are broken very quickly because...
Very quickly. I don't remember... watching this before, I don't remember things going wrong that quickly in the movie. Because he's with Gizmo for a night.
Yep.
I think, and then things immediately start going wrong. I remember it being at least like a couple days.
Yeah.
So I was very surprised.
What happens is that Corey Feldman dresses up, and it's a hilarious image, as a tree.
Yep.
He's not carrying a Christmas tree. He's dressed as a tree, which is just such a strange image to see 1984 Corey Feldman waddle into the house in a tree. And of course, the water is promptly spilled onto Gizmo. And then these little balls of fur pop off of his back like popcorn and grow into Mogwai. The way they did that effect was that they covered balloons in fur and were somehow able to inflate them. Mm-hmm. It's really convincing. It actually looks like they're materializing into creatures in there. Again, the effects are just second to none.
Yeah, I think there's only one moment in this whole movie where the effects are like a bit iffy. One shot.
I didn't even see a single one.
One shot, and that's just the claymation scene where they're all walking down the street.
Yeah. That's where they're walking down the street.
That's that I totally understand that limitation, but
it's noticeable, but it's also well done. Like it's not even it's not bad claymation. Yeah, no, you're right about that. Yeah. And like it's a little bit of a slow build from there, but it doesn't take long for things to go completely haywire.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when they eat after midnight is they turn into the reptilian creatures and just raise anarchy everywhere they go. The entire town is in flames.
Yeah.
And they just got to stop it. And it's this demented holiday adventure.
It plays a lot of the, beginning, killings, I guess, is like kind of fun and like, woohoo, look at these little guys. Which it works for a bit when they're killing like the villains, I guess, of the movie. Everybody they kill in the beginning has like a moment or two in the beginning where they're like, oh yeah, I want that guy to die, I don't like that guy, but then they just start killing like whoever. So
wanton destruction. There's a scene, a very iconic scene where there are a bunch of gremlins in a movie theater watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarves for whatever reason. And they all have popcorn and drinks. I like to think there's one gremlin begrudgingly like working the concession stand.
Oh yeah.
Like, all right, gremlins, I want a single file line. I know we're monsters, but can we be civilized?
Yeah, because all of them take
at least at the snack bar.
Yeah, they all take like a little different role. There are different... there's a 80s fitness one. There's a
we get even more of them in the second.
There's a noir one. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. There's for sure got to be an Usher one. That'd be great.
Of course, there's an usher gremlin.
An usher gremlin, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just, it's dark, it's scary. There's a lot of really good effects, and it's just a ton of fun to watch. I had this huge smile plastered on my face throughout the entirety of the first Gremlins, because of the way that it establishes that world that we're all familiar with, that sort of movie world, where everything's a little bit heightened and just a little bit different from the reality we know. And then when we introduce this agent of chaos into it, we find ourselves weirdly feeling for that sort of false universe,
Yeah.
So it's actually very smart. It might not have been as easy to connect to if they went with like a really realistic style for the opening bit of this movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And also, weirdly enough, I have no idea how intentional this was, but I think there's a definite element here. This movie is sort of about seasonal depression a little bit.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Because specifically through Phoebe Cates' character, who plays Zach Galligan's girlfriend, and we see her sort of not really interested in the holidays, and we find out later that there was a tragedy in her life where her dad died horribly, like just one of the most traumatizing experiences
I think
ever.
about that every day. That was the most scarring part, I think, of the movie when I first saw it.
It's incredibly
that
traumatizing.
whole story she tells.
And so naturally, she just does not associate any positive memories with the holidays whatsoever. And I feel like this is almost an ode to that, where, as I mentioned actually just a few moments ago, the holidays just do not agree with me. I wouldn't call it depression, but it's just winter is easily my least favorite season. And it is partly because of that holiday cheer. I just have never been able to find myself to get really wrapped up in it, at least not the way I used to.
Yeah.
And so to see this movie where that is sort of, I don't even know how to describe it. Like it sort of addresses the melancholy of the holidays by way of chaotic reptilian furballs that wreck the town. There's really nothing like it. And so I really connected to it on sort of that emotional level, even though, again, it is very melodramatic.
Yeah, it's got this something about the town too is just very melancholic, no matter how much they try to, hide it with the Christmas coming down, like that song that's playing in the beginning. It's just like it's a sad town, and you just feel that with all the characters, whether it's like Murray, just spouting just xenophobic stuff all day.
Yeah, that's really hard to watch sometimes.
It is, yeah, it is.
I think they understand that it's kind of over to the top, but also...
Yeah, I think they definitely really realized that in the second one, because there's like a line or two where they kind of poke fun at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and yeah, it's... oh gosh, I had a point. What were we talking about just now?
Marie?
Like the melancholy.
Oh, melancholy of the town, of just the holidays. It's just like a perfectly wrapped up, like I don't know, it's just fun, almost John Hughes like type. Like if John Hughes made a creature feature, I guess. Complete with like a soft boy Zach Galligan. I almost said Galifianakis, and then like soft girl Phoebe Cates. Like, oh, they're just so sweet together. There's just something really, really nice about it.
There's something really endearing about it. That was actually exactly what I was going to bring up, which is that it really establishes this sort of small town persona. I forget the name of the actual town or where it's located.
I forget it too. Yeah.
You get this, it's just that sort of same, it's almost that same sense you get from like watching The Simpsons or To Kill a Mockingbird, for instance, where everyone knows each other. Everyone's got like their own identity and everything. And a lot of it is really handily sort of communicated by Hoyt Axton, who plays, is it Axton or Axton? I think it's Axton.
I think it's Axton. I was saying that, yeah.
Who plays Zach Galligan's dad. And
who's like a country
as I mentioned
singer,
earlier,
I think, or something.
He's got all these ridiculous inventions and throughout the house. And there's that thing that like makes orange juice, which I think exists, but I guess he felt the need.
Yeah, it's definitely a juicer. Yeah.
He felt the need to make this invention, and it pukes up like this orange sludge that is just really disgusting.
Same with the coffee maker too.
The egg cracker, yeah. There's a lot of inventions that clearly don't work. But what I like is that it never becomes oh gosh, I can't. There's a turn of phrase that I can't remember right now, but a source of ridicule. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It never becomes funny that this character is a bad inventor. It's just
it's very wholesome in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I really like about this movie. So it's really easy to connect to pretty much every character in it. Again, except for Murray, who is just this guy, you know?
And I think the movie wants us to like him. Like, wants us to think he's funny and like weird, but like he's everything he says is just super xenophobic. And
yeah, it's one of the few reservations. It does not sink the movie at all. So that was Gremlins.